in trouble. It's your boy Icon with a DC, no, not DC, with a Marvel television review, Disney Plus review for you, going over that Ironheart. Though she's not called Ironheart yet, she's a full-blown criminal. She's stealing shit. That's where we're at right now. And before we get started, hit that notification bell, like it, or subscribe. Check out my other videos, my previous reviews for episodes 1 and 2 of Ironheart. Let's get those watch time hours up and let's get started. So she's a criminal. Like she's she's not the first. I mean, Scott Lang was a criminal too, but she's basically stealing shit so she can build her Iron Man suit. And throughout the entire series so far, every time someone asks her why she's building the suit, she's like, because I can. Like, you know, their whole thing is like, so you're not trying to fight crime, you're not trying to help people, you're not trying to do it, you know, for like better quality of life. You're basically just doing it just because you're bored. The group, like the whole posse, Parker's posse, everybody's trying to figure out what they're going to do with their money. Obviously, the two lesbian chicks are going to start a fight club, you know. Then the other guy, I think he said he was going to like go home and open a restaurant or something. But then, you know, Riri said that she was going to use her money to basically reinvest into the suit. So then the other black girl, the one with the nose ring, she went upstairs and she took Parker's robe and started playing with it. And everybody was looking at her like, girl, you done fucked up, because like playing with Parker's robe is a no-no. His boy showed up, and then when his boy showed up, he slapped the taste out of him. He slammed her face onto the desk. And then, you know, he got into an argument. He was like, you don't touch the robe. Nobody touches the robe. And then Parker showed up, and then he was like, everybody, let's just calm down. He's like, everybody go home because we got a job to do. So spend your money, like do fun things, and then let's come back and let's get paid. So now everybody wants Riri's attention. You know, like her mom wanted to talk to her, you know, then the AI, like Natalie wanted to talk to her. Natalie was just like, oh, you don't spend time with me, and I'm not going to do what you asked me to do until you spend time with me. And I'm like, that's not how AI works. That's not how AI works. It's like the personality traits, because the thing is, even if the AI does think it actually is Natalie from time to time, you're still an AI. Like, you're still programmed to like do what she says. Joe shows up, average Joe shows up. He shows up at her house, knocks on her door. And then Joe is just like, yo, I made up some blueprints of some things, because he said that once he got his hands on that technology, he started touching technology, he started dreaming up like all these different things, all these things he can build. And he said he needs Riri to help build all of this stuff. So, you know, but then she was like, I'm kind of busy. Like, I don't want to do it right now. And then he was like, yeah, you will. Because if you don't help me build all these machines and all these ideas that I have, I'm going to tell your mom, like, what you're really doing to make money. And then he walked away and was like, you should have never gave me confidence, or like, thanks for teaching me to stand up for myself. So now he's blackmailing her. So, you know, so he wants to hang out with her. Like, Natalie wants to hang out with her. She goes and hangs out with Natalie. They have a conversation. They end up going back to the garage. And I guess that was the first. I felt like they were at the garage already at some point in one of the first 2 episodes, but I think this was the first time they were both back, especially Natalie. And then as opposed to like last time when the guy pulled out the gun and Natalie froze and started having a panic attack, when Riri was in the garage, she was the one that started having the panic attack. And that's when I was like, wait, weren't you in the garage in like episode 1? But I guess not. I guess she was in another place, and I just thought it was the garage. So she starts having a panic attack because she's reliving the moment where Natalie and her father got gunned down, got shot down. And then Natalie ended up using some breathing techniques on her to help her, you know, like get her bearings. And then she was like, how do you know how to do that? And, you know, she was like, Natalie was the only person. And I'm like, yeah, she hasn't figured out yet that everything about the AI that makes her Natalie is coming from Riri directly, like all her thoughts, all her emotions, all her memories. She hasn't figured that out yet. So then she's talking to Joe, and then when she goes down to go holler at Joe, Joe is basically trying to build technology that will allow people to replace, you know, like lost limbs. He's trying to build like robotic prosthetics. He ended up using himself as, I guess, the guinea pig, and he kind of sliced his. It looked like he already had the technology in his arm already. Like, I'm starting to think, like, is he part robot? Because that was a really bad cut. And then, you know, Riri ended up, you know, like helping him stitch him back together. And then that's when we got the reveal that Joe is basically the son of the villain of the first Iron Man movie. The guy that worked for the company, he worked with the bald dude that built his own Iron Man suit at the end of the thing and tried to kill Tony. Like, that's his son. And he said that the reason why he didn't want to touch technology because he didn't want to have anything to do with his father and all the horrible things that his father tried to do. And then Riri talked him down, and then she was like, well, use your gifts for good. It doesn't have to be used for evil. And then she asked him if she could borrow like a laser that's hooked up to like biometrics or like hooked up to skin, because the job that Parker has them doing this time, they're rolling up on somebody that owns a greenhouse over the river. and he has a security setup to where his setup can detect when technology is being brought aboard, his vessel or whatever. So she wanted to cover some technology with like a skin graft, because he had like skin sheets that he was using, to cover the technology when he was trying to do like the arm thing. She wanted to borrow that technology so she can sneak the technology, like onto the freighter. He was like, no, because he said anybody can trace it back to me and I can get in trouble, and I don't want you using this shit for, for nefarious purposes. She talked him into it. The two of them had their deep conversation. They said that they were friends, and then he let her use the tech. So now she goes down with the rest of the people. They're about to rob the freighter. It was a double mission for Riri, because earlier when she was talking to Natalie, they came up with the idea that they wanted to study the robe that Parker has. So when she got the laser technology, it was also so she could use that laser technology to tear off a piece of the robe so she can study the robe. So when they get to the freighter, she goes in, she leaves the Iron Man suit on top of the freighter. She sneaks into the building. Natalie ended up assuming the position of the Iron Man suit because, again, like, she's built into the AI and the technology. She goes in there. She finds Parker talking to the owner of the greenhouse. And Parker was basically telling him, he was like, look, I need you to sign over a percentage of your company, for me and my people. He was like, kiss my ass. He said, I'll write you a check for like millions of dollars. He's like, but I'm not giving you my company. So the two of them started arguing back and forth. And then while they're arguing, Riri shows up. She takes the laser and she cuts a piece of the robe off, off of the hoodie. The problem was when she uses the laser ends up developing like a certain temperature, like it overheats to an extent. So because it overheated, that's when the security system will detect the technology. And Natalie told her, don't use it too long because then you're gonna be detected. She didn't listen. The AI the computer system found out. They found out there was tech on board, and then they did an immediate like shutdown, like a lockdown. So all the Parker gang members, they're all trapped in the freighter now, and they're being suffocated to death because that's the protocol. So then Riri tries to escape. She then tells Natalie to go rescue the other people, who were trapped, who were trapped on the freighter. And then while Riri's going trapped in the freighter, she bumps into, I believe his name was John, like the boy, like basically Parker's right-hand man. I believe his name was John. She bumps into John, and then John sees that she has a piece of the robe in his hand. And John is like, you traitor ass bitch, like, how'd you get a piece of the robe? And he was like, I knew we couldn't trust you, which was weird because he was the one that recruited her to begin with. But he was like, I knew we couldn't trust you. So now he's fighting her and he whooping Riri ass. So he beating her ass. She ends up getting away from him. And then the two of them get trapped in a room where the oxygen was being sucked out of the room. And then at that moment, Natalie showed up. Riri jumps in the Iron Man suit and she dips. And then she leaves John for dead. So now John's in there. So when Riri comes out, Parker's like, oh, where's John? Like, tell me where John is. Somebody go find John. And then Riri's like, I see him. His body, she said his body's in one of the greenhouses, but he's not moving. I think he's dead. So now Parker's upset, Riri crying because, she set him up. And then while she was fighting John, she dropped the laser. And that's a big deal because Joe specifically said, do not lose this tech because anybody can trace this tech back to me. And she dropped it in the greenhouse. So someone's going to find it and someone's going to trace it back to Joe, and it's going to be this whole big thing. So then after that, Riri now, like, she having a panic attack because she was like, because of her, John basically died. She did get a piece of the robe, but we ain't focused on that right now. And then Parker, he's in his room and he's crying over the fact that he just lost his cousin. Whatever magical entity is behind the robe, behind the hoodie, behind the cloak, what he has, whatever evil forces is behind that cloak, basically showed Parker John's like last moments before he died. And then that same evil spirit showed her a picture of Riri in the Iron Man suit, basically telling Parker that Riri's the one that killed John. I don't know I don't know the magical aspect of this. I'm confused. Even when they brought it, like when they mentioned it, because when Parker and Riri had a conversation earlier in the episode, he was like, oh, the robe is magic. And then she was like, magic is code for I don't know what the hell it is. And I'm glad she said that because usually they always use the line, oh, magic is just science. We just don't understand. And then she said something different. So I thought that was funny. So then now Parker knows that Riri is behind, you know, killing the whole John thing. So now that they know they can't trust her, she's having a panic attack because I think she probably knows that the jig is most likely up, and she knows that she dropped the text, so she knows she's fucked. Like I said, she was having a panic attack. You know, like Natalie was trying to snap her out of it. That's how the episode ended. And thank you for tuning in. So this is interesting, and it's picking up quickly, as it should, because I think we're only getting 6 episodes. And I hate when we get like a short series and it takes them forever to get to the meat of the matter. I believe on this episode we've actually gotten to the meat of the matter now. Like I said, we got the Joe reveal that he's the son of the original Marvel villain. You know? So like, and then it's funny because like both his dad and Iron Man work together, and now he's working with IronHeart, so that's actually pretty funny. Joe might actually turn out to be a good guy, you know, like by the end of all this. But we'll see. Like I said, but we still need to know like the magical aspect of Parker's robe, like where does it come from? What's the origin? We're still waiting for that. And then the whole dynamic between her and Natalie, because it's like now the panic attack thing is reversed. So we'll see how that whole thing unfolds and how both of them can collectively deal with their trauma together. But I'm definitely looking forward to it because I am enjoying Ironheart. It's, you know, it's getting good. It's picking up. Like I said, I'm liking where it's going, and I look forward to reviewing the rest of the series with all of you. So like I said, check out my other reviews because I got the first 2 episodes of Ironheart up on my YouTube channel, as well as my video for Brooklyn Comic Con that I went to. Like I said, let me know what you think in the comment section. Check me out all over social media, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concerns. And we'll be back next week as we review Ironheart episode 4. So for that, guys, so until next time, take care, because we definitely in trouble up in this bitch. And until next time, we're out this bitch.